Welcome back. Hope you're having a good morning. Well, for starters, at least the SGX, if we're suggesting that maybe we'll see some green overnight. The Dow ended high with a gain of around 100 points. We're seeing some kind of rub-off. And I was looking at the Dow futures as well. For whatever it's worth, it's up close to 250 to around 300 points. Odd volumes as well, relatively higher than what we normally see. Maybe people resuming after that long weekend. But plenty of stocks to track. So let's start off with that itself. Prakash Diwan joins us to help us out. Hi, Prakash. Good morning. Prakash, we'll discuss Kotak Mahindra Bank in greater detail in just a bit, but I want to focus on the other banking name, Bank of Baroda. Abhishek just told us they never come out with an operational update, but it's good, and they've come out with one. The stock, though, has already seen a big run in the last 1 year or so. At around these prices, what's your view on the stock?
Good morning, Nigel. So I think it's Bank of Baroda is behaving very, very similarly with most of the other PSU names. And essentially, it's a re-rating of the entire banking pack that's led to this rise that you referred to. But what precisely is happening to PSU banks is that the advantage of that cleanup and that expansion of credit that they're seeing is also favoring them a bit more in a more skewed way because of the fact that they have attractive CASA situations, So in a scenario where interest rates go up, the cost of deposits goes up, these are banks that actually have a favorable situation as compared to, let's say, some of the private sector banks. Whether they can utilize that to expand their credit books, that's the key, this thing at decent rates, decent spread. So my sense is that will continue. Once in a quarter, you'll probably have somebody else stealing the show or sorts within the Canara Bank, BOB, PNB, SBI Bank. But I would stick to some of the larger banks, and SBI definitely is still very attractive given the optionalities that are attached to it, given the kind of technology usage that they have been able to, be way ahead of other banks. So, yeah, I mean, Bank of Baroda is great, and that tells you that the entire sector is getting healthier. But don't lose sight of the fact that SBI is still the leader by a far margin, with, very, very wide margin, and there's no reason why that would also show any kind of disappointment. So, yeah, so we're happy to kind of look at other banks, but not move out of SBI for sure.
Got it. You prefer to stick with the leader, and between this and that, you prefer SBI. Got it. What about Kotak Mahindra Bank? I agree that doubling of the MSCI would, sort of be positive for the stock, etc. But there is still that overhang about the CEO transition, and we do know that Kotak has underperformed the market, underperformed its peers quite a bit. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
Good morning, Sonia. So yes, I do. Kotak has chosen to step back when things were difficult in terms of the rise that you saw in some of the other banks. It was precisely because of the kind of sharp growth targets that most private sector banks were chasing at a time when Kotak was trying to take a backseat, and that's probably been a very conscious decision to make sure that they restore the strength of the balance sheet before they chase P&L. And from that perspective, I think Kotak will probably start flexing itself in the next couple of quarters. Because this is the right time to do it. You could go back to clients which are quality, you could still maintain NIM spreads, and at the same time manage to keep your balance sheet on the resources side, on the fundraising side, to be very, very strong. So the December deadline that we have for the leadership is probably going to be, I mean, all of us are very aware about that. That will probably start getting addressed also middle of this year, calendar 23. So I'm sure Kotak will probably do things right. This weighted change is something which will probably trigger a little bit of a momentum there, but from a value perspective, I think it's probably available at the lowest price to book that we've ever seen in the last so many years. So if the limelight shifts from HDFC Bank to something else, probably it could be Kotak.
Prakash, in just moments from now, we will be chatting with the management of MapMy India. And, as everyone knows, this is a map software company. But last month, they announced their entry in a way into hardware or gadgets, where they've introduced Mappls gadgets for GPS trackers, dash cameras, in-dash navigation systems, infotainment, and smart helmet kits for cars and two-wheelers. How do you think about this move by the company to get into adjacencies?
So it's quite kind of useful for any company which has the basic application platform in place and they would probably, utilize that to make it into a much more scalable product suite. But these are challenging things, Riba. You know that it's not so easy for small companies to scale up, get themselves branded, get distribution right. And at some point in time, the product acceptance becomes a very binary kind of a situation. So if people don't like utilizing the product, you probably can't even grow that portfolio to the extent or the plan that you have. So it is challenging. I would not be in a hurry to get excited about buying into something like this just on the basis of this development, but rather see the acceptance in the market, let them go to the market, find their feet, and then you probably have ample time to tide in when the scaling up happens. So that's the idea. Not rushing into it for sure.
So Prakash, do stay on. Let me invite the management